At 62, I was headed in the wrong direction. I was overweight, constantly fatigued, and honestly, I felt terrible most of the time. I weighed 270 pounds, always bloated, out of breath just walking. I was dealing with fatty liver disease, kidney stones, sleep apnea, high cholesterol, and joint pain. I knew something had to change. I'm not a nutritionist and I don't promote any products. People have just asked me what I did, so I'm simply going to share my experience and my results because maybe it helps someone else take that first step. I've struggled most of my life with bad eating habits, lifestyle choices that affected my health, like a lot of people. But instead of going through my whole life story, I'm just going to tell you what I did. And one day I hit a point where I said to myself, enough is enough. It's time to get busy living. And that's when everything changed. I decided to try a plant-based way of eating. Now, don't let that scare you. That is just the early part of my change. I remember hearing that someone who followed a raw food lifestyle, and at the time it sounded a little extreme to me, but I figured I had nothing to lose. So I committed. And I'll never forget this part. I told my wife I was getting a large pizza and fries and jokingly called it my last supper. But from the next day forward, I completely changed how I ate. I cut out meat, dairy, processed foods, refined sugar, bread, pasta, and most grains. I started eating an all organic, raw, whole food, plant-based diet. The next day, I started my morning with a tall glass of water mixed with apple cider vinegar, lemon juice, turmeric, and black pepper. I read that it could help with digestion, and I still try to drink it regularly. Then I quickly went out and bought a blender, not anything fancy, just something simple and started making my smoothies. And the different fruits and different colored vegetables, that became a big part of my daily routine. For meals, I focused on simple whole foods, big salads with greens like kale, spinach, arugula, celery, onions, tomatoes. I'd add things like avocado, nutritional yeast, and a simple dressing like apple cider vinegar with olive oil. For snacks, I'd have dates, nuts, raisins, real food. I also made sure I had plenty of fruit available, so if I got hungry, I had a healthy option ready. Now, I'll be honest, it wasn't all smooth. About 2 weeks into it, I got really sick with flu-like symptoms that knocked me down for about 10 days. Then not long after that, I got a painful rash. But I talked to my doctor and I did some research and I realized my body was going through a major adjustment. I had suddenly changed everything in my body and my system wasn't used to it. So it was dumping toxins into my bloodstream, causing me to feel that way, which was good. I was getting the toxins out. I just had to hydrate more. But I stuck it out. I was determined. And after about 2 months, something changed. I started to feel incredible. More energy than I had in years. Clear-headed, alert, even a sense of well-being I hadn't felt before. One thing I did learn the hard way was I wasn't eating enough at first. I lost weight quickly, but I was also losing muscle. So I adjusted. I increased my calories, started going to the gym, and added some plant-based protein occasionally. That made a big difference. I also started paying attention to things like hydration, rest, and being consistent. And over time, the results came. I lost 80 pounds. After about 7 months of eating totally raw vegan diet, I added some cooked beans, lentils, and some cooked vegetables. Then, fast forward about 7 years later, into that way of eating, I began slowly adding some fish and chicken, wild-caught sardines, salmon, and pasture-raised chicken. And I also want to add that I eat organic. All organic. You don't want those chemicals in your body. It probably helped you get sick and probably why you're watching this. I'm now approaching my 71st birthday and I have more energy than I did in my 30s. I run, I stay active, I lift weights, I feel better than I ever thought possible. If I had to sum it up simply, I focused on whole foods, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. I avoided processed foods. I stayed consistent, I exercised, and I made a decision, and I stuck with it. And here's what I want to leave you with. It's never too late. If you're thinking about making a change, that feeling you have right now, listen to it. because I was exactly where you are. And if I could start this at 62, you can start today, no matter your age. 62, 72, 82, doesn't matter. You can get healthy. Start tomorrow. But if you start today, you're going to feel better tomorrow. I thank you for watching. I hope you'll subscribe, like this video, and come back for more, because I'm going to have a lot more about this story. It's pretty interesting, I think. Anyway, good luck.